It is Thursday, January the 9th, 2025. 2025? 2025? What's happening? Welcome to the Carlos Whittaker podcast. Here we go. Now, well, honestly, it feels like the first podcast of the new year. Reason being is, I don't know about you. Now, some of you may not have had the ability or privilege to be able to do this. And I totally get it. Your people's lives are in different seasons and stages, but this is my first day back at work. Not today. I mean, you're listening to this on January 9th, I think. Let's see, Monday the 6th, Tuesday the 7th, Wednesday the 8th. Yeah. But I'm recording it on Monday, January 6th, which is the first day I'm kind of back at work. My management team's back at work. My Slack's starting to light back up. Whitney from Wisconsin is upstairs right now waiting for me to finish doing the intro and outro to this podcast. And I'm so freaking ready. I'm pumped. Anyone else ready for 2025? I mean, I got stuff to do. Dr. Delight, thanks for the intro. We'll just kind of, before the beat comes back in, we'll fade you out. And the reason why I'm excited is because I'm kind of teasing right now these last two episodes, just stories, like jaw-dropping normal people stories. And last week was the story of my dad. So many of you have replied and just said how much you've reached out and said how much you've enjoyed that conversation with my dad before his dementia got bad. And then this week we're gonna do it again. And this is actually, this is what I need you guys to know. This story is exactly more of what I'm looking for in 2025. I am really trying to do interviews this year with people whose stories are going to make your mouth hang open. Not because, again, like I said, not because of some it could be, but not necessarily because of some big trial that they've triumphed through. Not because of some mountain they've overcome. I believe that there's a lot of conversations about trials and mountains we've overcome and pain turning into victory and things like that. That's fine, but I'm looking for stories that are more just mind-blowing. What? This is crazy. And I've got a few. You guys have reached out. And listen, in the show notes, this is very important before we start. If you have a story that you think is an ordinary story, that's an extraordinary, jaw-dropping, people that are listening to the podcast are never going to believe what you have to share about your life. If you are that person or you know of that person, please reach out on the form on the website. We're trying to really find these jaw-dropping stories. It may not be you. It may be somebody that you know. Again, did you work on the set of some movie as somebody's assistant and you've got stories that you want to remain anonymous and tell us? Come on, bring it. Did you work as a custodian in the days of Steve Jobs at the Apple headquarters and you can just tell us what life was like then? Do you work a job that none of us ever even knew was a job, and you can, bring us in on the other side of a job that maybe, micro dirty jobs kind of thing that maybe we never even knew about these jobs, but you do them. And if you stop doing them, if the whole job stopped happening, our lives would not be the same. These are the stories I'm looking for. And I've got a couple of you have already filled out and we're looking to try to connect with you. If you know that, or if that is your story, similar to this story that you're about to hear from my friend Leanne, please reach out. DM me on Instagram, email me, carlos@carloswhitaker.com, or leave a comment on the form. Leave your information on the form. We would love to do that. So let's get into this week's mind-blowing story. This is a rerun it's been years since we put this out, so I feel like it's time to give it to a fresh audience so people can find it a little easier. Leanne, there's a chapter of her dedicated, a chapter to her dedicated in my last book, Reconnected, because she is the one that hooked me up with the Amish community that I lived with in my book and documentary. She was the one. Why is she? Because she is married to a former Amish, and her story of her and her husband D meeting and falling in love. We literally call it the Amish love scandal. That's what it was. And today you're going to get to hear from Leanne and her story. But listen, when I did this, like I just grabbed my iPhone and I stuck it on the table and I just hit record. There are no mics involved. We were just sitting around the table. It is going to leave you on the edge of your seat. You're going to, and everyone go follow Leanne. Her information is in the show notes. She's just an incredible friend, an incredible human. And I think you're going to love her story. The Amish love scandal story. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Okay. We're in our friend Leanne's kitchen. Leanne lives in Worcester. I said it right.
You said it right.
Ohio. And she's cooking all of his breakfast. And she was telling me about just her fascinating life. And I had something else planned for That Was Toast, the podcast this week. But I thought, no, like who else would not want to hear about a young woman who fell in love with an Amish man? And that's all I know of the story. But I know there's so much more. It gets dicey. So I'm just going to ask her story. First of all, introduce yourself and tell the podcast listeners
Okay.
Who you are, what you do, because a lot of people follow you on Instagram right now, not because you married an Amish man.
My name is Leanne Miller. I live in Amish country.
Yeah.
And I met, dated, and married my Amish raised husband in 28 days. What?
You met and married her in 28 days?
28 days.
This is amazing. Okay.
28 days.
Okay.
Do not recommend this thing.
She is actually handing my daughter breakfast, my 17-year-old daughter breakfast, as her boyfriend is in the house. No goals, babe. You're already past the 28 days. Okay.
Whenever people talk about a short courtship, and I'm like, oh, that was fast. And they're like, who are you to say a thing?
Okay, so keep going. And don't let me stop you from cooking.
Okay.
She's moving around the kitchen. She's doing things. Okay, so just what do you do? Like,
okay, so we owned an inn in Amish country and in a kind of a touristy area, right? So we owned an inn. My husband was raised Amish to the 8th grade, was a brick mason. He was a mason and concrete guy by trade. And
now real quick, raised Amish.
Can
you?
Like, he was honest until, like, I mean, the family saw.
Oh, yeah. Like, I met him. He was wearing his Amish breeches.
Okay. So
I still have the Amish breeches he was wearing.
I'm going to assume that a lot of people, they don't even know what Amish means. They just think that people have beards and they wear hats and they live in the country.
Yeah.
Is it a religion? It's
a culture and a religion. My father-in-law would say that it is a culture that is faith-based. Like they believe and live the way they live based on what their faith tells them.
And is it like Christian thing? Is it Bible thing?
Yes.
So it's okay.
Like Christians we would call it salvation, right? Like people have a salvation experience.
Yeah.
Amish people would call it like a new birth or, like just being kind of baptized in a faith or a new birth.
Okay. And they're living this way is part of the religion?
Yes. Yes. So Daryl, his father is a bishop, still a bishop. Amish beard, long silver Amish beard. His mother, of course, is just full on Amish. They have horse and buggy.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like they're the real.
They're the
real thing, right?
Wow. Okay. So we'll get to Daryl and your story with him in a minute. What's your thing? You're on TV, you're cooking on Fox TV.
Yeah.
You're like.
I do cooking segments on Fox affiliates here in Ohio.
Okay.
And that happened because we had a producer from the Food Network stay at our inn. And she said, you need to be doing stuff on television. And I'm like, yeah, that's going to happen in the middle of Amish country. And she goes, oh yeah, it can happen.
It's awesome.
And so she just kind of connected me and guided me. And so I do segments on Fox affiliates here in Ohio.
Cooking one. And I'm eating your breakfast. If you can't hear, my mouth is completely full right now. It's amazing. So, okay. So then I basically want to go back to the beginning. So hang on a second. Babe, you love Amish country. You have a strong pull towards Amishness. Why?
Because it's just simple. That's why I loved COVID, because it was just simple. It was like feed your family, hang out, clean a closet, grow a garden.
Yeah. So that's what it is.
Make sourdough bread.
Yeah.
Like slow living.
Well, because you have a friend, you had a friend in Etheridge, Tennessee. Tell us really quickly about this Amish friend that you
Etheridge, Tennessee is a community in Nashville that all the kids love. to go to and get treats from. But
Have the boyfriends been to Etheridge yet?
Brady has no.
Oh.
Not. Sorry.
Noah, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, that hurt.
Okay. We'll remedy that.
But I met a guy there who made some benches for me, and we just began a friendship where
Would write you letters?
I asked him to be a pen pal, and he would literally, it was so cute. Again, like he would write a day out. I was like, I would love to know what your normal day would look like. Will you for a week tell me like what your schedule is, whatever.
So much.
Every single morning, woke up at 5 p.m., stoked the 5 a.m., stoked the fire for Annie, put a pot of coffee on, put some wood in the fire, left at 6:02, went in and like, okay, so that was one day. He wrote in detail.
Like Monday, he said Monday. And then the next day, it was Tuesday.
Woke up and it was the exact same thing. Like maybe in the afternoon, there was like one other like shift in his day, but it literally, and then he listed it every single day. It was the cutest thing ever. But anyways, ended up getting a handful of furniture. And Santa's directing me over there because I'm knocking on the table. Handful of furniture from him. And eventually he did pass, which is so sad.
Over the course of years, though, you were...
Oh, yeah. We were friends for like 6 years, 8 years.
He would kind of pick on you and make fun of you and show up.
He was feisty. It was so fun.
But you would say simple. Simplicity is what draws you to like wanting to drive
because there's no distraction, there's no internet, there's no TV,
there's no podcast
that we have to do while we're sitting talking to a friend. There's no Although I do like hair products like a blow dryer and curling iron.
So you could be Amish,
deodorants, and orders of Amish,
correct.
and so some orders
we're gonna get into that.
And like Daryl said that his family wore deodorant, whereas
some don't.
Really? Oh, okay. I can't wait to get into this. Okay. Thanks for that aside, Heather. I don't know anything about Amish. Like I don't there's reality shows that are fake that make you think that you know Amish and that's it, you know? And then like every time we drive through Pennsylvania or through Ohio, like you see them in a buggy, but it's so mysterious to me.
Right.
Did you grow up here around Amish? Was your family Amish?
Well, no, we were not Amish at all, but every day after kindergarten, I got off the school bus at my Amish neighbors, and I had a total crush on their oldest son, Ivan, who now doesn't have any teeth in his head. But I was in love with just their house. They just, everything does move at a steady pace, a slower pace, but an intentional pace. I think that's one thing
slow but intentional.
That's one thing I love about my husband, and I try to talk about him without getting emotional. But my husband is very...
No, please get emotional. It's very... You're already crying, so this is good.
My husband's super aware, and he's super intentional, and he's meaningful.
Yeah.
So I think when you're not raised that way, and you have somebody come into your life who's that, so my husband's always thinking about ways he can love me well without having to say a bunch of things. Yeah. Like we really work well together because I'm a 7 on the Enneagram, and I'm very like, and he is very not.
No, I don't believe this at all. No,
in fact, people are intrigued by our relationship because he's very quiet. But he's exactly what my life needed then and what it needs now.
Yeah. Let's go back to Ivan. For a second.
Okay.
Let's go.
That's when I fell in love with the Amish way.
Amish way. You were getting off the school bus every day and you were seeing this house and you were kind of seeing.
Yes. They would have like things like homemade lemonade or spring tea. And they had a spring house. So they'd say, you want to go with your bare feet into the spring house? And
what's a spring house?
It's kind of back then it was their version of like refrigeration a lot of times.
Really?
A fresh spring. I could actually drive you by Ivan's home place because he's so and show you the spring house because it's still there. Yes. I drove by there not long ago.
Will they still invite you in with bare feet into their spring house?
They would,
amazing.
And so I think that probably this is the first time I've actually put this together, that the importance I felt as a person, even in kindergarten, I felt really important in their house. I felt very, very looked at and seen. And I think that is how I've tried to operate our home.
Yeah.
I want everyone that comes here to feel very seen.
So you would say that that's a part of the Amish culture is to see you.
Yes. And yourself, to see yourself.
And to see yourself.
The others.
Very intentional.
Very. Very. And in fact, if you would ask Daryl if he was sitting here what he misses most about Amish culture, he would say the sense of community.
Wow.
We had a tornado go through our neighborhood, and within 20 minutes there were, I couldn't count all the bicycles there because people knew that the barn roof had blown off and a tree had went through their house, and literally people just came to help.
They didn't get on Facebook on the community board and have to tweet out.
There was no GoFundMe. There was no GoFundMe. No, people showed up and started helping immediately. So there is a true sense of sitting with you and walking with you, and a true sense of just being there.
Well, no, it sounds to me like it's a true sense of this is quite possibly the way it's supposed to be.
Right. And I will say quickly that not every Amish person's like that, right?
Right.
Because people are people.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think for the most part, it's about community. It's about, being just a better you.
Yeah.
And a more intentional you. Yeah.
The Carlos Whittaker podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Y'all know how much I love getting help, not only on like things of business and things of, faith, but I love to get help on things of my mental health. And that's what BetterHelp does for us. I have benefited from therapy for so many years. I literally can't imagine one human being I know that wouldn't benefit from therapy, which is why I think BetterHelp is so good. BetterHelp is online therapy. It's entirely online. If you're thinking about starting therapy, why don't you start with BetterHelp? It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. And then you can also switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Some people, you're just not vibing. You can go to another one as well. Sometimes it's hard to remind ourselves that we actually deserve help ourselves. We love to help other people, but I want to let you know, especially during this holiday season, it's okay to get help yourself. So we have worked out a special deal with BetterHelp, literally for you. You can, this holiday season, get the help you need with BetterHelp. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/humanhope today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/humanhope.
So kindergarten Leanne is getting off the school bus, fascinated by this house and his family.
Yes.
Really just kind of taken aback as to, this is different. This feels different.
Yeah. I feel like somebody has lemonade waiting for me, and is just being very intentional.
And your parents are not, you're not Amish at all. There's nothing
not Amish at all. So fast forward then to the summer of my fourth grade year.
Let's go.
We pack up, and my father says, I want to go to seminary. We pack up and we go to Lynchburg, Virginia.
Okay.
And my father goes to Liberty University Seminary, becomes a marriage and family counselor and pastor.
Yeah.
And, our life changes dramatically from fourth grade to my senior year of high school. We moved back to Amish country, my senior year of high school.
Okay, so fourth grade through your senior year of high school, you are in Virginia. There's no Amish around.
There's no Amish.
There's no Amish around.
Yeah.
You've kind of, is there any longing for that?
Oh yeah, totally. And we're in the South.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, I don't want to say this. There's a lot of seeming kindness.
Yeah.
But sometimes underneath that, that's that it's really about politeness.
Yeah.
And it's not, it was just a completely different culture.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, Southern hospitality is amazing and Southern people are amazing, but it was a completely different shift from being in the country in Ohio around Amish people and Amish neighbors. Completely different.
So you moved to Virginia and then you moved back.
We moved back.
Here.
And I go my senior year to a public high school.
Okay.
And my senior year, and then I go to college in South Florida.
Okay.
Because I don't want to be, I want to go somewhere just different.
Yeah.
And then after college, I worked in corporate world for about a year and a half.
Okay.
This is where it gets fun with
Yes.
Daryl. So I get...
So hold on. Daryl is...
At this point, Daryl is in Rumspringa.
Okay.
Daryl's partying and wild. Rumspringa is like sowing their wild oats. So teenagers.
Oh, wait, that's not a city? I totally thought that Rumspringa was like, oh, he moved to Rumspringa. Oh, okay. See, this is, I am every listener. So Rump Shaker? What is it?
No. So he was in like what we would call, his wild teen years, right?
Okay.
Parents kind of just.
And this is in Amish culture.
Yes, Amish culture. They're kind of given over to, like, if you want to drive a car, if you're, especially boys, if a teenage boy wants to go out and get his license and get a car, or get a vehicle, he can do that. You know, they go to parties, they have field parties, lots of drinking.
Amish?
Oh,
really?
Oh, yeah.
And this is a thing in Amish.
It's a thing. It's definitely a thing. So Daryl was a little bit of a wild man.
Was he
really?
Wild
boy.
Okay.
You never know it now, but he was. And
Daryl.
Yeah, Daryl. Daryl, I know. Yeah.
Okay, so he's in Rumspringa.
I work in an office like in Orlando, Florida for a year and a half, and I decide my parents have a restaurant. So summers are always busy because it's tourist time. So my mom said, why don't you come home for the summer and help with the restaurant and then decide if you want to continue? Because I knew the office environment, corporate environment was not for me. So I came back and I worked this summer. This is the part the girls are going to love. I worked this summer as a waitress at my family's restaurant.
Which was called?
The Homestead Restaurant in Charm.
The Homestead Restaurant in Charm.
Yep. In Charm, Ohio. That's a real place for him. So then fall comes and September and October are the busiest months for Amish country. And so in November, my mom wanted to build a fireplace at her house for Thanksgiving because everybody was going to come. So my mom knew of this crew of Amish boys.
Yes. Were these Amish boys rumstringing?
Yo, they were rumstringing all the way.
Okay.
Now, I was not. You know, I was at this point 23. I wasn't partying. I wasn't interested in that.
Yeah.
I'd already kind of
had
my own time. So one November day, my mom says to my dad, go over and pick those boys up with their dad to come look and see if they can put a fireplace in before Thanksgiving. So we had friends over that night. And they had a little girl, and I was playing with the little girl. And so if you ask Daryl about it tonight, he'll tell you he thought that the little girl was my little girl. So they come, and we don't have a conversation, right? Daryl has...
Do you go pick him up?
Daryl, my dad, went over and picked up his dad and him. Okay. Because Daryl's the oldest. He was kind of the foreman of their little crew. Yep. And so they come in, and Daryl has his Amish britches on. He's got... Like he comes home from work, you'll see tonight, like dirty, from work.
You say Amish britches. Can you explain to some people?
Amish pants are homemade and they don't look like non-Amish pants. Right. They don't have a zipper. Right. They have a button panel. Oh, okay. Like there's it's kind of a square, but three-sided square. Okay. So they button in a panel. Yes. So he had those Amish pants on. And I'll never forget, he still does this. He had a toothpick broken in two and a toothpick on either side of his thumb. Side. That's his. And already going gray. He was already going silver. He was 22 and he was already getting this like silver in his hair. So, so I'd said hello. We said hello to each other and that's it. And he left and I looked at my girlfriend and I said, I think I'm going to marry that man.
No way.
Yeah, oh, yes, I did. And so I had my best friend from college.
Okay, hold on. Yeah.
Okay. So my best friend from college, she was the only one that did this, called me up and she's like, okay. When I told her I'm getting married, like I'm marrying this guy. Yeah. Like it's happening. Yeah. She called me up and she goes, okay, I'm not okay with this. And this is when I'm thinking this is going to happen. She's like, I want you to tell me why you feel this. Yes. You don't know this guy. You don't know.
Because you told her this after being with him how long? An hour or?
No. Maybe 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
He said really nothing. His dad did most of the talking and I really said nothing.
Okay. So you're with him 30 minutes.
Yes.
His dad does all the talking.
Yes.
They're looking at the fireplace. Like they're trying to figure out within 30 minutes. Yeah. Within 30 minutes, you're like, this is the guy.
This is my man.
Okay. So what are you telling your girlfriend?
So I say to my girlfriend, I say, you know how, gosh, why I get emotional?
Because you knew that you were going to marry him in 30 minutes? That's why you're getting emotional.
You know what? And I love him.
Yes.
Like,
how long have you been married?
30 years.
Yeah. Okay.
So, you know how when you marry somebody or you date somebody and you think they're the greatest person, right?
You're making me cry.
And then later you're like, wow, I really didn't know how great.
Yeah.
Like God knew.
Yeah.
And he knew what I needed.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how great he was. Like when people say they married up, like I married a man who is my person.
Yeah.
So the way I explained it to Darla is, you know how when you think of a person, but you don't have a face, you just kind of have a silhouette of an image.
Yeah.
And then when you see that, when I saw him, he those paper mache, those paper dolls that you get when you're little, it's kind of like a coloring book and there's an outline and then you get to punch out the thing and put the picture on the outline. That's how it was. Like that person, that picture it matched the silhouette of my prayer.
Yeah.
Like I knew.
Wow.
Like I knew.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. So you tell her this and she's like, okay.
Yeah. She said, all right, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Like he fit that outline, like him. He just went, that's the guy. So then fast forward 2 days, because that was a Friday.
Because hold on. I don't want to fast forward too much because it's only took 28 days. Right? So let's not fast forward 2 days. Can we just fast forward that night? So that night he leaves, in your head, you're just like,
I'm marrying him.
Do you tell your parents this? Do you tell?
Yeah, I told my girlfriend sitting next to me as soon as he left the room. I was like, as soon as he left the house, I think I'm marrying that man.
Yeah.
So then I had to get a plan.
Okay. So tell us the plan of action.
It involved this cup.
Okay.
Right here. That right there.
There it is.
That's the cup.
Boom. That's a great one. Okay.
So the Gap was very popular back in 1991.
The Gap?
So the Gap. And so I had my little peg leg Gap jeans and an oversized flannel shirt. And I got up at 5:30 because they get to their work site. He still gets to the work site between 6:30 and 7. So I'm like, I got to put my best foot forward here. So I get cinnamon rolls and I make coffee. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to serve him this coffee in this heart mug. Clearly he'll be like, he'll know it.
And so tell me, where are you going to get this to him?
So he comes to do the fireplace at my parents' house.
At the house. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. I'm thinking restaurant, but you're not at the restaurant serving.
It's happening. So I'm like, I'm sticking around this whole job. I'm going to serve him coffee out of heart mug. Surely he's going to know. And then it just so happened, and this is the truth. This was not staged at all.
Yeah.
The wrong fireplace logs came for the fireplace. So I'm this whole time I'm like, I'm going to marry this man.
Yeah.
And the wrong fireplace logs come. And my mom says, why don't you take Daryl to the fireplace store to get the right logs? And it was like an hour and 15 minutes away. I'm like, okay. So then that's when.
Okay. Have you had a conversation yet with Daryl?
Not very well. I've had a conversation. He hasn't.
He hasn't said a word. Okay.
No, he hasn't said a whole lot.
Okay.
And then the first movie that we saw. So then on the way to get the fireplace log, Dances with Wolves. Remember that?
Yes.
movie?
Oh yeah, Kevin Costner.
That movie came out, and I said, "Have you seen that movie yet?" He said, "No." I said, "We should see that movie."
You were.
I was. Yeah.
You were running this show.
Zeroed in. He's like, okay. So we go on our first date, right?
So hold on, wait. Do you go get? Sorry, I'm the super story dragger outer. You go get these logs.
Yeah, we go get these logs, and I'm like, he doesn't know. Maybe he doesn't know it yet, but I'm marrying.
Hey, Sandy, you have a question.
Are they allowed to go out and see movies with other people?
Well, remember, he's kind of in Rumspringa right now. He's a little wild. So I had 2 different couples come to me and say, now you know that he's I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
No, he's my head. He's fine. He's going to be fine.
So again, let me be Leanne and you be Daryl with the reaction. So, hey, have you seen Dancing with Wolves? Do you want to go see that movie with me? What was his response?
Yeah.
I love it.
It still would be.
Yeah.
I mean, you've met him.
I know. I've met him. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. He said, yeah. Okay. So keep going.
So we see the movie. Well, we go on our first date, right? And we're going down the road.
You say first date. Did you
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I created our wedding idea. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I said...
And the mug.
That just every morning, man, I have it and it's going to him.
Okay.
The hearts are subliminal.
Yes.
Like, I love you. I'm going to marry you.
Yes.
It says heartstrings on the inside.
Yes. Yeah. And you're giving him that mug every day.
Every day. Black coffee. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're on this, we're on our way and I'll never.
And he knows it's a date.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, I think so. I think he knew that I was smitten. So I say to him, you don't talk very much, do you? Because I'm just talking and talking. And he does this thing and he still does it. Back then, I used to think it was because, his first language is Pennsylvania Dutch. So I kind of thought, well, maybe he's kind of translating before he talks.
Well, I'm sorry. What's Pennsylvania Dutch?
Oh, their dialect. Like
what Amish?
It's really kind of a dialect or a slang of German.
Okay.
So some of Pennsylvania Dutch will sound like German, the language term, like the German language.
Okay.
So I said, you don't talk very much, do you? And he does what I call the Daryl pause, where he pauses for like 2 or 3 beats. Like even like notice it tonight. Like if you ask him a question, you think to yourself, is this guy going to answer the question?
Is he annoyed at my question?
Yes. But he's just thoughtful in the way he communicates.
Yeah.
So I said, you don't talk very much, do you? And it was like beat, beat, beat. It used to kind of unnerve me, but now I love it. And he said, well, if I liked to talk as much as you did, we'd have a problem. And I'm like, and now I'm really in love with this man. So then we date maybe 11, 12 days. And this is
okay, wait, stop.
See each other every
day. Keep saying things that need more of an explanation.
Okay, so do you know, like the younger generation call it talking now. They say they're talking to someone.
Yeah.
Okay, but we didn't have like the same modern conveniences. So we saw each other every day because he was at the job site. So we saw each other every day and then we would see each other in the evening. He'd come over or we'd meet out somewhere. And so we would see each other every day. So one day I say to him like, so where do you see this going? Like,
what this is day 6 of
No, this is day 11.
Oh, day 11.
This is like day 11.
Oh man, we're way down the line.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're like, we're like, we're antiquated.
Yeah. You guys. Yeah.
So I'm like, so where do you see this going? And he's like, well, I mean, marriage. And I'm like, okay. So imagine like, so he's got his parents, who his dad's an Amish bishop, aren't really thrilled, right, with him dating a girl who's not Amish. Yeah. So his dad had already had a conversation with him already because, about dating me. And he said this sentence.
The dad says this sentence to
Daryl. And Daryl tells me, and he says, as long as you date her, we are going to discourage it and we aren't going to be okay with it. But if you marry her, we will accept it. So I said to him, okay, if you're thinking marriage and I'm thinking marriage, why would we draw this out? Like, why would we put your family through that? Why would we put ourselves through that?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what are you thinking? I said, let's elope.
So at day 11, you say this?
Yes. He doesn't have a passport. He's never been on an airplane. So I say, let's elope. And he's like, all right, where? And I said, let's go to Switzerland. I said, let's go to Switzerland. Let's elope in Switzerland.
Zero ideas.
And he's like, all right. I mean, he's just like, okay. So I go to, what's that popular clothes? Abercrombie and Fitch.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to spend some money on your honey.
And I got matching sweatshirts. Mine was gray and his was blue. Yes. And there were horsemen on the front of it. And I thought, this will be our travel outfit to Switzerland.
At day 11.
Day 11, I say this. Okay. And he doesn't have a passport. And back then, you could just go to the courthouse and get a passport.
Yeah.
So he had to get his birth certificate. Like we had to go through a thing. So he gets his birth certificate and goes to the courthouse, gets a passport. And my dad knew someone who lived in Switzerland and he called him and asked. There was a chapel there that I had fallen in love with because I'd been to Switzerland before and had taken pictures of myself alone outside this chapel. And I thought, I want to get married in the chapel. And so my dad calls his friend and he said, oh, I ski with the pastor of that church.
Okay, wait. Okay, so let's pause it. I ski with the pastor of that church. Your dad
Yes.
is helping you elope.
Yes. He's a marriage family counselor.
Oh, your dad's a marriage and family counselor. And you're day 11?
Oh, yeah.
And
I mean, my mom and dad then later divorced after that.
Okay.
But that's a whole other.
Yeah, sure. We'll stick to the love story for right now. So you're telling your parents day 11, I'm marrying this guy. They're like, sweet.
We're eloping.
We're eloping.
Are you in or not? Like,
okay.
We're doing this.
But he's not telling his parents this. Okay.
He wrote.
Okay. Wait. Okay. Wait. Let's not get there. So you're like, Dad, I want to get married at this chapel in Switzerland. Yes. And he's at, let me call Terry, who skis with the pastor.
Yeah.
Keep going. So he calls.
And the pastor of this church says, oh, we would love it if someone would I said, I want to get married on Christmas Day. And he says, well, I would love it. We would love it if somebody got married at our church on Christmas Day. And so we're like, all right, let's buy the plane tickets. Let's do this.
So we're talking, we're in December right now. You guys are dating.
Yeah, December. Yeah. And so we get his passport, we book the tickets, and I was telling the girls that this sweet older gentleman, probably in his 80s, was tolling the bells for me to come to the wedding. And I didn't realize he was going to toll them until I got there. And I was 7 minutes late to the wedding.
Okay. Hold on. Sorry. This is me again. We got to get to Switzerland at some point.
Yeah.
So
we get on the plane.
When did you guys get on the plane? How did he have to sneak out of Amish town? Did he have to like what? Tell me about
pretty much
about that. So his parents are still like, you're dating. You guys are dating.
Yeah. So he packs a bag. And he leaves a note.
And he leaves a note. And what does he say in this note?
He's never really told me exactly what it said, but I'm sure short and sweet because he doesn't even like to sign his name. Okay. So it was probably 2 sentences like, Mom and Dad, I'm eloping. I'm going to Switzerland. I'm marrying Leanne. And I'll be back.
And I'll be back.
And I'll be back on this date.
Yep. Okay. So then you guys go to the airport.
So we go to the airport, get on the plane. He's not been in an airport or on a plane, and we fly to Switzerland.
And how many days after you met him is this?
Well, it was 28 days from the time I met him until we got married.
Uh-huh.
So this is probably day, that we flew?
Yeah, that you flew.
Oh, this is probably day 25.
Okay.
Because we were in Switzerland, I think December 22nd.
Yeah. Okay.
23rd.
So you fly, you land there. This is happening.
This is happening. Oh, I'm marrying.
You're married. Oh, duh.
I am mothering his children.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So let's get to the bells.
Yeah. So he's tolling the bells until I get there. I couldn't get my eyelashes right. And so I was like 7 minutes late. And this poor man is like tolling the bells, waiting for me to get there. And my dad is ordained. So he marries us. And
dad?
My dad is ordained also. So my dad marries us.
He goes to Switzerland with you?
Yes. Mm-hmm. My mom and dad go to Switzerland with us.
Okay.
And we get married and we take pictures in the same place that I stood before.
No way.
And
do you have those pictures?
Oh yeah, I have those pictures.
There's one?
Yeah, there's one. Yeah. Go up in our bedroom on that table where the plant is and get that picture. That's our wedding day.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So I have my sweat. I have actually, it's in the closet where you two are staying. Okay. I have our wedding outfits.
Your wedding outfits. What did you wear?
I wore a sweater outfit. Oh, it's so pretty. I wore a sweater outfit and Daryl wore a pair of like kind of green khakis and a paisley shirt with like a three. No.
Come put it to the camera so that the camera can see it.
Oh, the camera's upside. Oh, there it is. Yeah. There's glaring a little bit there.
Look at you guys. 28 days.
28 days. And right after we got married, like probably 2 hours after we got married, it started snowing snowflakes. I'm not kidding. It was like a fairy tale, like these big fat snowflakes. And somebody in town said, you should go toboggan. They take a big bus up the top of this mountain and you can toboggan all the way down. And so we did that on our wedding day. It was just so cute. So great.
Wow.
Oh, I know. The shoes. Yep.
Okay. So
we come back.
So you come back. And is he nervous to see his parents?
Oh, we're both nervous.
Okay, you're both nervous.
Yeah, we're both nervous. And so he goes to watch.
Because does he call them from Switzerland?
No.
Okay. I guess they don't have a phone.
No. Still don't.
Yeah, still.
Still don't. So we get back and I am in the kitchen and Daryl has gone to wash the car.
Yeah.
And I hear something and I think it's Daryl. So I stick my head out the breezeway door.
Yeah.
And it was like a store. It was like a made up storybook.
Yeah.
His dad in this big black velvet hat with this long white beard and it's snowing.
No.
So there's snow like swirling around his head is standing in the window. And I'm like,
this is as you pull up, like as you.
No, I'm in the house by myself.
Oh.
Daryl is not there.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So I look out and there he's standing at the door and I'm like, oh, he's seen me. He knows I'm here.
Yeah.
So I let him in and it's my father-in-law.
And now tell me again, whose house is this?
Where we were living, where Daryl, my apartment that I had, where I was living.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because by that point, I'd got my own little apartment. I wasn't living with my parents.
Got it. Okay.
So, well, not even by then. Even when I met Daryl at my parents' house, I wasn't living
Got
with
it.
my parents. So he comes in and we just start talking. It was so awkward. I can still remember I was sitting on a bar stool. So he's on a chair like you all are on, and I'm on a bar stool. So I'm kind of up, elevated. And I say to him, I'm just chattering because I'm nervous. And I say to my father-in-law, now this could actually make my cheeks kind of be red because it kind of is embarrassing. So I'm like, so I was telling Daryl the other day, I can still see myself in my mind. I was telling Daryl the other day, I hope you all like me. So, meaning his mom and dad. Yeah. And he was quiet and he looked right at me and he said, like you, we love you. Oh, he said, you're our family now.
Stop.
Yeah. And so then he said, I want to talk to Daryl because by then Daryl comes back. He said, I'd like to talk to Daryl privately. And then I would like to talk to both of you. And so I didn't know until probably 5 years after we were married, when I was pregnant with Teddy. I was really pregnant, going to an Amish get together. My mother-in-law said, do you want me to make you something to wear? Because I didn't have anything. Literally, I was just so pregnant. It was in January and our son was born in January. That's how pregnant I was.
Yeah.
And so she made me this sweet, like homemade denim type jumper.
Yeah.
When Daryl's dad talked to me, he said,
when he talked to you back.
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years prior. Okay.
So 5 years prior, when Daryl's dad's talking to me, he says, I'm going to ask a few things of you, as we go forward as a family, that when you come to get-togethers that, then I had the long acrylic nails and I had big hair, big bangs, long
90s.
curly hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to ask that you dress plain and that you pull your hair up and that you don't, wear a lot of makeup and that you don't have, bright nails. And I'm just going to ask that you, and my friends at the time, like my girlfriends, were like, he needs to just accept you for who you are. They need to, that's not right that they would ask you to do that. And I'm like, listen, how many places are you asked to go to dress plain, no makeup, pull your hair up?
Yeah.
Like, I love this.
Yeah.
This is great. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So I did. And so we're at this get together and I'm in this jumper that his mom has made me. And we're playing dominoes with cousins and aunts and uncles. And there's lots of people there.
Yeah.
Amish get-togethers are big.
Yeah.
And we're just having so much fun. And it was like this light bulb moment. Like he didn't ask me to do that.
Yeah.
Because my nails were too bright or my lipstick was too bright. He asked me to do that for me. He didn't ask me to do that for them. He asked me to do that for me. Because what it did is I just integrated so easily.
Yeah.
They weren't staring at my nails.
Yeah.
They weren't staring at my nails. Because a lot of Amish kids, don't even, their interaction with non-Amish people is even limited. So I was just so accepted. I mean, not that I wouldn't have been accepted if I would have had makeup on and bright nails. It's not that.
Right.
It's just it made it easier for me and it made it more comfortable for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have great in-laws.
Wow. I'm blown away. Tell me this. As we sit in a day and age and a culture and a worldview where it is the most individualistic culture ever seen on planet Earth, the most selfish culture ever seen on planet, the most And people would probably look at the Amish and go, that is so backwards. That is so, how dare they ask their women to dress plain? How dare, this is the time for women to rise up and for that. And that this is not what's happening. It sounds like what you experienced. Now, this was 20 years ago, okay, or whenever it was. 30 years ago. Talk to me about, because you are a strong, you are a strong, passionate individual, woman. Like you are like, hear Leanne roar. Like you can get things done.
Right.
But there's also, what I'm hearing is there is such not only beauty, but maybe need in what you experience in that Amish culture.
Well, there's sacrifice in love.
Yeah.
I mean, love is not all about getting what we want and having our way and fighting.
Yeah.
I want to walk alongside people and I want to love people right where they are.
Yeah.
My in-laws just have loved me.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't trying to make me Amish.
Right.
They were just saying, you're our family now and we love you. And I think we, right now in society, we're fighting, we're pushing, instead of opening our arms and saying, let's see how we can love each other. Let's see how we can sacrifice. I think when I think of Daryl and I think of our marriage, Daryl has sacrificed a lot for me, and he's done it with such, hasn't been weak. He hasn't gotten everything he has wanted.
Yeah.
But he's just loved me in a way that's like where, something I see now that I wish I could just take a wand and change is that we need to love each other.
Yeah.
And that sounds so cliche, but loving each other sometimes requires sacrifice, even of our own will and our own opinion.
Yeah.
And so, Daryl's put up with a great deal from my family, from my nuclear family. That when I say Daryl sacrificed, he's sacrificed in ways that he probably didn't know families acted like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So he's, that's been a way that he's loved me well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think we're missing this element of, sacrifice and love. There's sacrifices you make when you love.
What do people that are listening to this podcast, how can they learn to sacrifice? That is a word that people don't do that anymore. People don't sacrifice anymore. They sacrifice other people at the altar of their opinions, at the altar of, but what I love about what you're saying is you're right. People can say love and you can simplify that up to whatever it is, but it is actually the word sacrifice, when you brought that in to the definition of love, is what people don't know how to do.
Okay, well, you've sacrificed because you know what? You've probably sacrificed some opinions of people. You've sacrificed maybe even part of your reputation within evangelical fundamental belief system with educating people on race and thinking differently. So that has entailed a sacrifice on your part.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what does that look like? That looks like a path you've walked in this last year.
Right.
It's really a saying, I'm going to put aside some things that I want for myself, or I even think for the betterment of another person. So it's saying I'm going to, like with my own children, they're in their 20s now, they're figuring some things out on their own.
Yeah.
I would like to go into mom roar and tell them what they are and aren't going to do because of the way we've raised them.
Right.
But my love for them says you need to sacrifice that. You need to allow them to figure it out. And you need to love them right where they are.
Yeah.
And you need to pray for them. Yeah. And you need to be just their mom and sacrifice what you think they should be doing for knowing that when they find out for themselves, it's going to have greater value.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Daryl, one last question about Daryl.
Every time, why? When I talk about him today,
what what can people learn about sacrifice if they watched your husband for
Listening.
listening?
We all just want to air our opinion and what we think and what we know. Somebody said something about Daryl recently that I thought, wow, that is so true. That has known him for years. And Daryl is a true craftsman. Like he's really an artist when it comes to trim work and craftsmanship. And he said, I've known your husband several years now, and I've watched him in groups where he could speak up and say, oh, no, that's not right. Or, oh, no, I would do it this way. And he doesn't. Like he could almost brag about himself and he doesn't. Like he is just very humble.
Yeah.
And he listens. He does a lot of listening.
Yeah.
He, when we were talking about a menu, he said, now remember, Sohaila doesn't eat, gluten and red meat and, like, so we should think about, fish or chicken. He's listening and he's really not missing anything.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I say about him, and this is true of a lot of Amish people, often we mistake people who are good listeners and their silence for agreement. It doesn't mean if he's being quiet and you're saying something, it doesn't mean he's agreeing with you.
Yeah.
He's just choosing.
Yeah.
He's sacrificing.
Yeah.
He's choosing not to get in an argument with someone or not to state an opinion that he thinks isn't necessary.
He's loving by listening.
Yeah. When we had been married about a month, we're driving down the road and I'm like, so what's your biggest adjustment to being married? And he's like, well, I don't know. You go first. I'm like, oh, it's definitely being accountable to somebody all the time. Like if I'm going to be an hour late, if I'm shopping. Blah, 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 blah. I said, so what about you? So wait a minute. He goes, electricity. And I'm like, whoa. Like that, like stopped me in my tracks. Like, oh, wow. Yeah, he's had an adjustment. And also I loved that it had nothing to do, with
you.
Us, me.
Yeah.
It had to do with like his way like of life.
Yeah.
I think also Daryl, Daryl's, when we talk about like adventure and like, hear me roar type thing.
Sure.
If you looked at the both of us and you would say, who's the most daring? Who's the most adventuresome?
Yeah.
Some people, because of my personality, would think it would be me. Oh, no way. Like Daryl would have been on those ice cliffs with you. He would have been down that river. I was showing him some of the river stuff. He goes, oh yeah, I'd love that. I'm like, no, like, and that's not me. Like the bears, like I knew he would love your Alaska trip with the bears and stuff. He loves the outdoors and he's way more daring and adventuresome than I am.
That's amazing. Last question. What about your story can people get hope from? Like give them one last bit of hope for this season that we're in, for maybe a crisis that they're in, for maybe, maybe they're stressed out. Maybe they've got kids that are, that have chosen a different way. Maybe they're people are needing hope in 1,000 different situations that are listening to this. They've just heard a love story that I think my daughters, the boyfriends, myself, my wife, we've all gotten a semblance of hope for love that maybe we didn't even know existed. Can you give one last just little tidbit on hope and maybe where you're pulling some hope from yourself?
Well, I'm a faith-based person, so I believe in God. And so I would say that I believe in a God that when I ask and I say, I need you to show me some hope.
Yeah.
I need to see that you see me and that you love me and that you care, like show me something. And I believe in a God that will do that.
Wow.
And that will honor that. I think Daryl is also a representation of that God brought an Amish boy in my living room that built a fireplace. I tell people we just extended the flame, that built a fireplace in my parents' house and just he came into my life. Right. But I think when we're in the middle of, and we talked about this earlier, like when we're in the middle of crisis or trauma or despair, I think really asking God for hope, like saying, I need to see it. I need to know.
Yeah.
I need to know that you care about me. Please show me somehow. Yeah. And it could be as simple as if you're looking, it could be, it might be somebody in Target that walks up and says, something hopeful to you.
Yeah.
I mean, hope is, I think that we die without it.
Yeah.
What did I say? It was so good. So listen, more of that. Thank you, Leanne, for letting me re-air this conversation. Also, I'm looking for more stories like this. This is a simple love story that had us on the edge of our seats. Who is somebody that that has a story like this? Or not like this, but like something else, but is going to leave us on the edge of our seat. I'm looking for uniquely human stories that we can be curious and interested in. If that's you, or if you know somebody, please let us know. The link is in the show notes. Guys, this has been a blast. Thanks for hanging out again. And pretty soon you're going to start getting new stories like this, because we are going to begin interviewing a lot of you, ordinary people with extraordinary stories. Dr. Delight, hit it, please. All right, friends, please subscribe to the podcast, share the podcast, follow the podcast, whatever it is you do that can help the podcast continue to grow. This year, we're going to be curious. Curiosity, I think, can lead to change. Let's get curious this year. Hey, see you soon.